Your life experience, good or bad, is a gift when you share it with others. At Taxi Chronicles, we allow real riders with real stories to share their gift. So hopefully this episode will intrigue, enhance or inspire you. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Morning. Yes, we're back with another rider, another story. Today we're honoured to have an IT consultant in the house. So everybody who's interested in IT, want to know if, it's an interesting job, you get paid well, any of those facts, hopefully we will learn today. So nice to have you here today, Ryan. This is yours.
How are we, ladies and gents? What a pleasure.
So tell us, first of all, what kind of person were you when you were at school?
I actually majored in musical theatre. Okay. Which is a bit of a detour to IT eventually, but
opposite spectrum. Yeah.
Exactly, but it gets you when you're in that kind of environment, especially theatre, and you present. Basically, it's the biggest thrill you can get. You're always in front of a crowd of 200 plus people sometimes singing, so that sort of helps out with the sales eventually when you get there.
I suppose, you have to please.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you, just out of curiosity, your role in musical theatre, did you do any Broadway?
Yeah, I did. Well, I grew up doing it. My uncle was on the West End in Les Miserables. He was in the one of the original casts.
Okay.
And then he started becoming the residential director for that in Manchester. And when I was growing up, he was doing all of that, so he was getting me into shows with young kids in it, like Annie, Oliver Twist, all of those kind of
so you
shows.
could have gone far in that.
Yeah, that was the game plan for a while originally. After university, the big plan was to continue doing it. I actually had quite a few big roles straight out of university. Went back into Annie, actually. I did Annie again as an adult, and we did a national tour of that. And then after that kind of died down a bit, I got into a little bit of a sales role over in the States. Mm-hmm. And obviously the money was a lot better. And, you blink and it's 10 years later and you're still doing IT.
Okay. So is IT something that you love?
I love traveling more than I love the job itself. And I love sort of the interacting with different cultures when you get there, because IT is global. Yeah. And everyone shares this sort of cloud-based infrastructure, we call it. So everyone's always, you're always traveling to different parts of the world and learning new software and hardware and all that kind of stuff. And that's my favorite part about it, more of the technical side. I'm in sales specifically, so I don't deal with, lots of coding and stuff like that. I'm more of just a salesman.
Okay, so as in sales, when, so you go and present products to people?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So if you've got a lot of customers in a certain vicinity, you go there. How do you deal with the language barrier?
Well, we have a lot of the times we have teams that are set up for specific locations. So I basically deal with North America and the UK. And when it comes to language barriers, it's really rare for me to have one because I'm specific to those locations.
Okay.
But say if there's an Asian market, we'll have a team specifically for that Asian market who will have, most of the members on that team will speak that language. So.
Okay. What's been the thing that you've learned that you wish you knew when you started this business?
Oh, I would honestly. I mean, this is probably a bit cliche, but you really have to understand how important an initial contact is with someone. First impressions are like as key as it can get. Because they like you, they want to do business with you. Especially in my specific role, it's a lot of, boozing and schmoozing customers before you actually even start doing business with them. Mm-hmm. So that initial contact is very key. And I wish that I sort of would have known that a bit before rather than, sitting back and being quiet when you first meet someone is not necessarily the best thing to do in that type of business. You want to you want to put your best foot forward as soon as you meet someone.
I suppose in North America, they're more outgoing personalities, aren't they? Would you say?
It depends, because you can get if you go in the South, especially, they're quite reserved. You know, like I'm heading to Georgia at the moment. Okay. Everyone, and then if you go up New York, you know that's where there's lots of different cultures and everything like that. But in the South, especially where I'm heading at the moment, they're a bit quite reserved, a lot more religious. You know, so you're not taking them out for wine on the first night.
Okay. Oh, and do you have to be seen to be religious as well?
No, not at all. No, not at all. That kind of thing you don't necessarily bring up. It's something you sort of have to understand before you go there.
Okay, yeah, I understand. What would you say to your 16-year-old self?
Oh, give it a few more years in theatre. See what could have happened, I'd say.
Okay.
Do a bit more singing and dancing.
Okay. Okay. What was the ultimate thing you loved about theatre?
I'm an adrenaline junkie. When it comes down to it, still to this day, my favorite thing to do is jump out of airplanes and scuba diving and all that crazy stuff. But there is nothing in this world that gives someone a bigger adrenaline rush than performing in front of a crowd of people.
I suppose, yeah, the positive, as long as they like you, the positive energy gives you that ultimate dole.
There's nothing scarier than forgetting your lines.
That's true. I forgot. I've got some basic questions I ask, and sometimes the customer, when they say something, it throws me or something.
Yeah, no.
And then my mind goes blank, and you're like, okay. Yeah, in that respect. Yeah. So what does the future hold for Ryan and his company?
Ooh. I'm not sure. With this current climate during the world of COVID, you got to play it day by day. So long-term goals are a bit less important at the moment than short-term, I'd say. Mm-hmm. Try and keep the next customer coming at the moment is probably the biggest key.
Did you envisage your company growing to the size that it has? Because it's your company.
It's not my company. Okay. I'm a consultant, but it's not my personal company. It's growing and growing and growing, especially now that everyone's working from home. All this, like I said earlier, I'm not sure if everyone listening knows what cloud-based infrastructure is, but it's essentially
saving data.
Everyone's connected through a cloud-based infrastructure now, and keeping that moving is important, especially when it comes to cybersecurity. With everyone working from home, everyone's a little bit more vulnerable to cyber attacks because they're not in their office spaces, which have all these multi-million-dollar, secure location, and all that kind of stuff. So luckily enough, in my area, it's not something that's slowed down. It progressed a little bit.
I was speaking to an IT guy. I interviewed an IT guy who's up in, I think, Bradford or someplace like that. But he had his own business, and what he was saying to me is that he's worked a lot for the bankers.
Yep.
And the same thing you just mentioned there about security, that he's had to go into their houses and put in a camera system with a lock on the door, because they're dealing with like investment bank trading information. When there's a camera facing from the door to him and a camera facing behind, there's a camera facing him on the laptop.
Sure.
And there's a code. So as he opens up the laptop, the camera checks that no one else is in the room and it locks the door.
That's severely secure. I mean, these guys.
That's that. And he's had to install quite a lot of those.
Sure.
And things like that. So it's interesting thing where he says other companies just turned around and said, everyone's got to come in. We're not going to do that. We can't risk insider trading and all of that.
No.
That kind of thing. What are the main concerns clients have why they need your?
At the moment, it's either recognizing a cyber risk through an email, and you click on something that you think is coming from a customer or coming from an internal member of your own company, and they're called phishing emails, and if you click on them and you type in the wrong thing, you know, it can compromise not just you, but your entire infrastructure within your company. Sometimes it can be very bad. You know, I'm flying with Delta today, and they had a massive hack a few years ago, and that was through an email that someone had received, and then what happens now, what we specialize in, is something called AI, artificial intelligence, will scope these emails before they're even received by a recipient on their email, and it will drop them into something called a Dropbox, and then that email will be checked by the AI for malware and all that kind of stuff, and then if it seemed to be legit, like a real email coming from someone normal, it'll then be sent back out of the Dropbox, and then it'll go through the other end and you'll receive the email. But if it's considered malware or spam or something like that, it'll crush it. It'll just get rid of it.
How does it know? What are the recognizable?
It's trained. It remembers. It'll see something, and then it'll adapt. So, but the thing is about these malware and all this you know, these cyber attacks, is you only have to change 2% of this malware to try and trick the AI sometimes, because the AI will not recognize that it's different. So that these scammers are always trying to change it just the littlest bits.
So it's a real career for these scammers.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's a real. I get some emails at times, and if I don't think, I just delete it.
Yeah, so
or block
on like a private email like Gmail and something like that. Yeah,
just,
you're a lot more at risk with those, because you're obviously not run through like a project management services company that deals with cybersecurity. But yeah, so you'll see a lot more of them on a private email than you would if say someone listening probably has an Outlook account. Those tend to be fished out a lot more often.
I suppose the best thing would be to avoid those kind of things is if you see an email from someone, you just give them a call. Did you send it?
Sure, if you know who it is. Yeah, if you know who's sending it. If it's released by the AI through the firewall, it's usually pretty hands-on. Like if you get the email, it's usually been checked, and it's usually been released. So it's a good sign if you get it sometimes.
So IT's not going anywhere.
It is not going anywhere.
And in essence, the company's been one of the beneficiaries through the whole COVID.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And now you've got a lot more people still working from home.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see many people going back to their offices anytime soon. Do you?
No. I know what they're doing now. They're changing. What do you call it? They're trying to do a Chinese style where you have a big block of flats, and the bottom half is all flats, and the top half is the offices.
Yep.
And you go up to work in your office in the day, and you come back down to your flat. But I don't think that's mentally healthy.
No.
I think you need to just get away.
I can't. I mean,
you don't want to be seeing your boss as you go to the shop.
I mean, I'm lucky enough to still be able to travel, which most people aren't. Simply because, I mean, the reason I can actually travel to the States right now is because my parents actually live there. So my parents are permanent residents of the United States, which means I'm exempt from the travel ban.
Oh, yeah.
So thank God for that. Or if I had to stay working at home, I'd lose my mind.
Oh, your parents are British though, yeah?
They're British, yeah. We moved over to the States when I was just about to turn 9 years old.
You've got very British accents.
Yeah. Well, I moved back to England. I moved back to London when I was 22 or 23. And I'm 28 now, so I've been back for quite a while. But the funny thing is me and my oldest brother both have English accents. But the middle one, who's older than me, doesn't sound English at all. Yeah.
Okay. You spoke about scuba and diving.
Oh, love it.
I love it too.
Do you?
I could tell you some stories about me.
I've got some as well.
I was diving off the coast of Yemen in the
Right.
port.
Wow.
Yeah, and this was just as the war was starting.
Right.
Yeah? I used to work on the ships, stopping the pirates hijacking the ships. So
What on? I was not. You talk about
Yeah,
not expecting answers sometimes. I was not expecting that.
So what happened? There's a row between the chief officer and the not the deckhands, the port workers.
Mm-hmm.
Now the port workers are all clans.
Right.
Clans going back to biblical times.
Gotcha.
So that's some serious thing. And one of them is a bit. He's not all there. He's like a bit. He's a bit gets high, chewing
Cat.
or
Yeah.
whatever, or things like that. So he crashed the crane, the ship's crane, into the ship.
Intentionally.
No, he's just being an idiot, and he crashed it. So he dented one of the funnels. Yeah. So the chief officer got upset and tried to physically throw him down the gangway. Yeah, to get him off the ship.
Oh my God.
There was an owner. Blood goes, doesn't matter. So now the chief officer said, "You lot must pay for the damage," and they said, "No, you touched one of us. You violated. You must pay us $1,500. Not that much on the scope of things, but it's a matter of price." So they said, "We're not paying." So the clan goes, "Okay," and they just start working on that ship. We were there a month. Now what happens? In that meantime, we started to paint the ship and all this other things, and I was getting bored. So I'm thinking, the water's really nice and clear and blue.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go down and do some snorkeling. So I got my fins. I always have my fins and what have you. And I was snorkeling around at the end of the berth, because they dredge the ground.
Sure.
So you've got about 2 or 3 meters of sand, and then it just goes boom straight down. So on my last diving thing, I thought, let me go down, like free diving. So I got my fins, I prepared myself, did a little breathing exercise, went down. As I was swimming down, it's clear blue, but it's like a deep clear blue, but you can't see because their sand is different in that country, yeah? But it's nice, it's a nice colour. So I'm going down. I don't know how, maybe I went down 20, 30 meters or something. And then what did I see? A shark that swims straight in front of me. I mean, he moved fast. This is like prehistoric movement.
Oh.
I tell you, if I was a synchronized swimmer, I would have won in the water. For the U-turn I did.
Yeah.
My whole swimming technique went out the window.
Yeah.
Flapping, trying to scramble back on this sandbank. Then I put my hand on a mantis stingray.
Ooh.
No, not the big mantis, the stingray one, the little brown ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I just missed me, and I'm flapping more, and I'm trying to get in the rocks. Then I stood up, and I look in, and I see human feces everywhere.
Really?
Yes, they've got a sewer-type pipe going into the water.
And you're just swimming around?
And I had this big beard, like a Bin Laden beard, because I didn't shave, because we was getting all these examples.
Bin Laden beard.
And it took me ages and washing it, it drowned.
Oh my gosh, man.
But anyway, that's one of many. What's
You win.
What's your story?
You win.
I got more stories than that, man.
Oh my.
So where's the best place you've scuba or dived? Sharm el Sheikh?
Key West, Florida is pretty special. I mean, the amount of life down there in Key West. I mean, you see everything. Like it's like someone's painted a portrait of what a coral reef should look like.
Oh, I didn't know they had I always thought America's coastline wasn't very how do I put it?
Tropical?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the Gulf of Mexico, which is right on the inside part where it goes in, on the inside of Florida towards the mainland, it's pretty tropical. But then the Keys go down into the Bahamas.
Okay.
So the Florida Keys, which is the very tip, you look at the map of America, and Florida just looks like a block. It goes into the south.
That long leg bit.
Yeah, the long leg bit. But at the bottom of it is actually a chain of islands that are barely visible on a map. But there's, I couldn't guess how many there are, but there's got to be more than 20, 30. I'm just taking a guess there, but they're all tiny and they're connected by this little bridge, and they go all the way into basically the Bahamas, and everything down there is just tropical. I mean, it's incredible. So Key West is pretty good, but I've done a few cave dives which were good. I'm actually the diving when I get to America, the Georgia Aquarium, which is the was at one point in time, I'm not sure if it still is, the largest aquarium in the world. And they have whale sharks in there. Whale sharks are big, massive whale sharks.
You live in Kenya?
Yeah.
I used to live in Kenya.
Really?
Yeah,
You're more well-travelled than me.
I don't know about that. But yeah, no, it was great. But go on, so about your Key West.
Yeah, Key West is just incredible, man. I mean, it's sea turtles to the left of you, and to the right there's the big giant sharks, and I've never been afraid of sharks, but the like I said, the stingrays scare me because of that whole Steve Irwin thing back in the day.
But that tail is lethal.
Yeah, they are.
It's unforgiving. And that was about the second time I disturbed a stingray.
Yeah.
Because they bed themselves. They do that. Not when they shake and.
Yeah, they like.
Yeah. But if you look, what they say to me when you walk through the water, I don't know what the beach like in Key West, but when you walk through the water and it's quite shallow, you slide your feet. Yeah. Along.
Rather than just take steps.
Because that's where you can get stuck.
Yeah.
And it's also, stonefish.
Yeah, those are bad.
Really tropical in Kenya.
Yeah.
Really, really. It's like clownfish, seahorses, sea turtles and stuff.
Yeah. I miss it. I haven't been diving in over a year, probably.
So have you dived with sharks?
Oh yeah, multiple times. Yeah, the only time I've ever disturbed an animal is I swam over top of an angel shark, which they bury themselves. They bury themselves just under a thin layer of sand, and you can't see them. And then if you swim over them, they usually don't bother you. But if you touch them or anything like that, they just come out of the sand and take off, and it's the scariest thing in the world. Because it just looks like the ground beneath you becomes alive with a monster, and you're just like, oh no.
That's how they catch their prey as well.
Yeah. They just hide under the sand.
What it taught me from my experience is that you're very vulnerable in the water.
Yeah. I mean, scuba diving is like, God knows how much more times dangerous than skydiving.
Yeah, because they say if it swims fast, it doesn't want to be touched.
Yeah.
If it swims slow, you don't want to touch it.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I've never heard that.
Yeah. It's just like colours. Colours are,
because you see those.
The colours are more dangerous.
Yeah. I've heard a strange fact about sharks, and I'm not sure if this is true or not. And this might be an old wives' tale, but my dad told me that this is a fact, that more people die worldwide every year from champagne corks than shark attacks.
I don't know.
Everyone go Google that, see if that's true.
I can tell you, did he say that at the end of the dinner party?
Maybe. It needs to be like, maybe he was opening a bottle of champagne, but because they come out with such force, apparently, there's more, maybe there's more accidents.
Push your eyeball.
Yeah. Fun fact.
Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah. So where else have you, what was it actually like when you was learning to dive?
I got addicted to it right away. Mm-hmm. Like my first dive, I was like, this is immense. Like it's like space. It's like going into space.
It's another world.
It is completely another world. I did quite a lot of courses when I first started.
So you PADI qualified open water?
Yeah, PADI advanced open water diver, yeah. And I got my deep diver certification and my medical response certification.
So you've dived at night, so you've dived
mate, night diving's amazing. There's these things called bioluminescence. And when you're in the ocean at nighttime, if you're deep enough down, if you move your hands about, like in front of your face, it looks like you're shooting lightning bolts out of your hands because you're illuminating all these little organisms that are alive in the water. And that's when all the little things come out, and you see less of the big fish at nighttime, but you see lots of like seahorses and
those fishes. It's probably less vulnerable for them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The big fish have gone to sleep.
I guess, yeah.
Stuff like that. So there's like a natural order of things.
Yep.
Like their daytime It's like our night time.
Yeah.
With the drug dealers and the prostitutes.
Yeah.
Like how we stay indoors.
Yeah. Less vulnerable.
We stay indoors.
Have you ever been skydiving?
No, you know what? When I was in the military.
Yeah, I meant to ask you that. Was it the Navy that you were in doing
I was
these?
in Marines.
Okay.
But my travelling was private security.
Yeah.
Some of that was private security. Some of that was on my own. Just doing what you know, travelling.
I'm in cyber security. You're private security.
Actually makes it quite a good thing. We was going to start a company in Kenya.
Yeah.
And there's an ex-Foreign Legion guy.
Okay.
But we actually needed an IT guy.
Oh.
Because we needed to be able to present. We're doing a presentation to one of the guys who has the company who's run the pools.
Mm-hmm.
Their security skills aren't the best. They're not bad. I can't comment on their cyber.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably just lack of infrastructure, you know.
And stuff. But I know Kenya has one of the best infrastructure for data in Africa.
Yeah, that's not surprising.
Better than South Africa.
Yeah, I know they have lots of fiber optic cables over there, which is good.
Yeah.
That's always a good base to have if you have fiber optic cables.
Yeah, so they're moving forward on that. That's really, really good. Good stuff. Anyway, last question. You've been a great guest.
Thank you.
What's the impact you want to have in the world?
Ooh. That's a good question, you know. I would say, you know, laughter. I mean, I like making people laugh, you know, and treat, you know, that whole cliche thing, you know. But also at the same time, I want to leave it better off than I got here. You know, I got to start doing the little things better. That's for sure. Like recycling and you know, being a bit more, you know, green and stuff like that. So, like I said, I've got lots of short-term goals at the moment, not many long-term ones. So.
Okay, that's good. Well, thanks a lot for that.
No worries, man. It's been a pleasure.
Much appreciated. Oh, if anybody wants to use your services, where
Yeah.
can they find you?
GTM Impact.
Do you want to spell that?
Yeah, it's just GTM Impact.
Okay. Thanks a lot, and we wish you well.
Thank you very much.
We hope you liked that Taxi Chronicles interview. Don't forget to share and subscribe to get the latest episode. Ever considered investing in the continent with the fastest growing economies and population on Earth? The same continent that holds 30% of the world's known natural resources. Listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories, where you hear real investors with real stories from around the world share their experience of investing in Africa. We post Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m. British Standard Time.